Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Chanel in the City. I'm your host, Chanel Amari, and we have a very exciting guest here today. I'm a big fan. He's a stand-up comedian, actor, and host of one of the popular podcasts out right now. One of my personal favorites. I don't miss an episode. We're All Psychos. Are we all psychos? We're going to find out by the one, the only, the talented, the hot, the smart, the amazing, the kind. I mean, package deal here, ladies.
Dude.
Dylan Palladino.
Hyped up. I think that's the best intro I've ever gotten.
No
truly.
way.
I'm not even gassing
really?
you
People
up.
don't hype people don't hype you up like this?
People hype me up, but not like all of those compliments. I'm usually not good at taking compliments, but I'll accept all of them. And then
You're very humble, which I love about you.
Yeah, like mainly family stuff, how you're raised, definitely Italians. It's like, they're nice to you, but they're also like, stay humble.
Totally.
Yeah.
Did I pronounce your last name
Palladino,
right?
yeah,
Palladino.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, so I'm a Jew, but I'm like Colombian, Israeli
I 100% thought
Jew.
you were Italian.
You did?
I did.
A lot of people think so, or
Yeah.
Greek.
Greek you know what? Actually, more Greek.
A
than
Greek,
Italian.
but my dad, he lived in Italy, so he used to go abroad and leave us for 6 months at a time. He probably had another family in Italy.
Okay, cool.
Love you, Dad.
A lot of already seeing some.
We're trying to be real here. You have you have helped me.
I know,
just
dude.
Be real.
A minute and a half.
Life.
She's like, look, my dad left half of the year. Okay, and I don't think about it every day.
Right, it hasn't triggered me. I don't cry about it. I didn't cry about it on a show called Princesses of Long Island. Became a failure because of that. No, but this is not about me. This is about you.
But you're the host. But yes, keep going. So your dad, he traveled.
So he traveled.
Went to Italy a lot.
So he spoke Italian fluently.
Nice.
So he brought it to the house. So I got confused sometimes. Was I Jewish? It's Italian. What am I? So I have a very open mind. But yeah, I mean, we have similar
definitely
upbringings. My parents always said, "Don't ever think you're better than anyone because you ain't shit." Basically.
Yeah.
And gave me tough love. I don't know about you. So talk to us a little bit about your background growing up.
Parents weren't that. I think I lucked out because my mom was like one of those moms that loved being a mom. Like everyone likes being a mom, but there's some of them that are like she was like, and I was firstborn.
Oh.
So she was obsessed with me.
Oh,
like honestly.
I wish that was for me.
Dude, I mean, luckily I got it balanced out with my dad that was it's hard to please me, always want you to be better, but I was right on the edge to where it didn't fuck me up enough, but it gave me a way to relate to people that their parents were super extreme.
Yeah.
And then the other shit that I don't even know half of it that happened in my life somehow led me to be able to have this comedian complex, but then still understand people and have compassion and shit. But I think honestly, mom was firstborn, obsessed and shit. And I sometimes, because don't they say comedians are made by overbearing mothers and then distant
and that
fathers
gives them
kinda?
and it gives them their Sam Morril talks about funny stuff about his father, a little bit dark, but
for sure.
The whole missing parent. Yes,
my dad wasn't dark. He was just work all the time. But my mom was the just loved the shit out of me.
Dylan's my star, kind of.
She was just you're you're the best. Well, and then I don't know why that works, but it works to make you go. I don't want to hear that from anyone. It's very strange.
Oh,
it was
interesting.
She gave me so much that now I don't like it when people are too nice. It's a weird thing. I don't know what it is.
You know what's interesting on that note? Yeah. Because I was raised opposite. I was kind of you're not good enough. You're nothing. You're never gonna be. Because I think people just assume that I get whatever I want or this. I don't even know why, because I don't. But I'm just saying some people just have that narrative for whatever reason, and I grew up with a lot of shame. So it's that's why I'm humble, if that makes sense.
Okay. But do you like it, do you like it when a partner praises you and gives you a lot of compliments? Is there a side of you that
It's one of my love languages.
Okay,
I just want to know that you don't want to hate me and burn me.
See,
all my ex-boyfriends.
I had, exactly. Yeah. I had a lot of times I'll find that in relationships, people will try to praise me a lot and they don't understand that that isn't one of my, I like it, but I'll take it, but I'm never, craving it. You know what I mean?
And that's what's so dope about it.
It's a strange thing, dude. Honestly, in the past month, I don't have to be too specific. I was with someone and she was like complimenting me, and in my head I was like, "Yo, stop!
You're like, dude, you're not getting me this way."
I was like, "This is working against you."
Yeah,
like, literally, I'm
you're like, I want to be on your team right now.
Be shitty to me. Like that's what because I grew up like those are the dudes I grew up around. Like all my friends that are women that I love.
Yeah,
they just rag on me. I think that's why I like being a comic and all that shit. But.
And you're like hot. I mean, I'm sorry to be.
Thank you.
And listen, I want to talk about this also because everyone says, "Oh, women feel uncomfortable." Let me tell you, in the last weeks, me and my friends have been hitting on men where I don't think it's okay. We got to ask you this because I feel like we share the same circle, and you guys are like mad respectful. You're comics, yes, like we all are in comedy. But when you're a performer, I don't think people realize like there is a humble and introverted side to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's and I've noticed it the older I've gotten that like I go on stage. And like I'm already a pretty outward, like extroverted person at times. Like when I get around people, especially people that I love or like make me happy, that'll turn on the extroverted side of me, and then I'll go crazy and I love it. And then when I get home and I get alone, that's when I start being quiet, trying to read, and I kind of you kind of recharge and all that shit.
Same.
But especially on stage, if I have a really good set or I'm going and I'm doing stand up and then I finish, I don't like want to talk to anyone. Not even with my friend. A lot of times, like, I'll go take a walk because you have to, like, decompress because you're, like, filled with all this adrenaline and excitement. And you also kind of feel like you just, like, it's, comics have explained, I remember Pete Holmes talked about it. It's like, it is like you just had sex with the audience. And you kind of, like, need a break to, like, readjust and get back down to a baseline. And I've had, like a couple times girls approach me after, and I'm like, I don't even, like, want to really... Like I'll
even
say
if they're really hot.
I mean, if they're like smokes, You'll figure
out a way.
My refractory period will be a lot quicker. I'll be like, hey, you know what? Just give me 1 second to go to the bathroom, do a couple deep breaths, and then I'll be back. But I mean, usually it's just like
I thought I was this dude. I thought I was the only one though.
Yeah.
In general, that like doesn't want to deal with people. Listen, you do more shows than I do because we're gonna get into that. It's also not easy to be booked. Listen, if you're being booked on all the shows in New York.
I mean, right now I'm not getting booked. I mean, it's impossible.
Like,
but yeah, it's like for sure. Oh yeah, but boy, if you're doing stand up right now, like you're probably like a decent regular at the Cellar or at Eastville or at I'm not sure if New York Comedy Club is doing it right now, but they're like their go-tos are the people that are like getting booked every now and then. Like Ian Finance is like still he's been doing it forever. Like one of my best friends, Usama, he's still doing it, but Usama's super hot right now. Like
super hot.
Maddie Smith as well is probably doing shows every now and then. Yeah, it's like so these people that are all the mainstays and like some of the like flagships of those places, they're gonna get booked. But right now it's like impossible really to get it if you're not. And I've been fine with that. Like I know it's gonna come back. I do miss stand up a lot. Like I did it a couple times during the pandemic, and I was like, fuck. Like I've been thinking about it a lot recently because, you know, it's like the end of February, and it's that time when you're in New York and the East Coast where you really start to go like, all right, I'm sick of the weather. It's enough. Am
I leaving here and going to Miami with all the other cesspool?
And everyone's there.
Sorry, my Jews are there, but yo,
dude,
you guys,
they're partying.
My people,
like fully partying.
What the?
I know
they're
people
bringing
that
the
have
Torah
gone.
and shit.
Dude,
like,
the Talmud is there and shit. Yeah, they have to like hold it up.
You know this shit, yes. Okay, yeah.
I grew up in LA, dude. Yeah,
dude, you know this scene.
Yeah,
L'chaim. They don't give a shit. They're like, God's protecting me.
Dude, they've got
they have
little
Richard King up from One Oak and Tyga, literally 100%. Spritzing like it's amazing.
It's nuts. I mean, good for them.
No, but like, how do you feel?
I am curious.
I'm sorry.
How is everyone not dying in Miami? Like,
I don't know.
That's the other thing where I'm like, is COVID just not really existing down there? Because everyone is going and saying that. I have friends that went recently, and they were like, dude, the bars are packed.
Yep.
People at restaurants
house
are packed.
Parties.
Everything's happening, and then you don't hear like 600,000 people dead in Miami. Like you're not hearing about it. So I'm kind of like, is their vaccination process really good? Is it like Miami air too much? Does COVID like not like Cuban people? Like what's going on that all of a sudden like no one down there is
so
getting sick? It's kind of nuts. And I mean, the longer it's happened, the more I'm like looking at flights like, all right, this doesn't look too bad. Maybe I'll go to Miami a couple days, get off Instagram, don't let anyone know.
One-way flight.
Exactly.
Process. And we, the thing about our jobs is you could do it
For sure,
anywhere. You can even do
yeah.
stand up there. You can make
definitely.
shows. And the funny part though is like, I call it like rich people. That's why they're making it. A lot of rich people are moving down to Miami. Look, how do you feel about this? Do you think it's like a social economic class where it's funny because I find a lot of people who face a pandemic or who face a tragedy or who face like stress, a lot of like people I've grown up with just move to Miami or move to somewhere else that can make them happy. Do you think that's something you should do, or should you face reality? Like New York, what we're facing right now is reality.
I don't know. I think the people that were kind of like, if you left New York, like, stay out. We don't need you. Yeah. I understand that they're like, oh, you left the city, but at the same time, I personally don't think leaving the city was like you ditching the city. I think if you could leave the city, you should have, because it's putting less pressure on the healthcare system that's there. Every single person that left is one less vector of potential COVID like proliferation. Every single person that leaves, it's less pressure on especially in the beginning in March through like June and July. All of the hospitals were like almost at capacity. So if you could leave and then not potentially get infected and go to the hospital, I feel like that was the right thing to do.
Look at you thinking outside.
About
other people other than yourself.
Yes, exactly. And did I partially think about that because I was one of the people that left and want to make myself feel better? Yes, I did. But it's a pretty strong argument. But I don't know. In terms of people that are like, oh, you need to face reality. Yeah, I think New York makes you appreciate when it's nice, because you have to deal with so much shit that's not nice. But if you can get to another place, I would say go for it. I don't know about living there, but definitely visiting. I will say I always think like usually the funnier people are from the East Coast a lot of times, true. Which I think is partially just because the East Coast makes you a little bit more real. You don't like put up as much bullshit, and you experience like all those seasons. So when you can make fun of all those hardships and shit,
and you're like wittier, you have to be on your feet quick.
And there are people on the West Coast it's not a rule. It's just the stereotype is that usually like there's so many funny people from Boston, from New York, and then now we're getting people from Atlanta all over the place. But I think go visit. But if you leave New York fully and go to Miami, like that's fine. But can you imagine getting bored with it being nice all the time?
I did. I lived there for 3 months. It was the most boring.
What the fuck is your life then? If you can't even enjoy.
If you're not driven, it's great. People like us would never be able to survive because we need. I don't know about you. Maybe I'm speaking for you, but I see your social media. You're constantly on the go.
And New York is like that too.
You need to be driven.
You need to be moving and driving, and literally and figuratively driving.
Like this guy I'm kind of talking to, which I'm going to end, but he's in Florida. Sorry.
Good enough.
But it was a good excuse if I move there. You never know.
Hey, all relationships are washes from basically March until 2022.
It's tough to date during COVID.
Yeah, and I'm going to use it as an excuse for years after. Oh, sorry, I'm still getting over the pandemic. It's been 10 years. I'm still getting over the pandemic. I'm sorry, I just can't commit.
But you're actually really mature. My brother's your age, and you're so. I love my brother, but it's just funny how different people are raised, and when you're more sheltered, I think you don't see life the way we do when you're not sheltered. It's just interesting how mature you are. Now, I don't know you that well.
I think stand-up's part of it. You meet a bunch of different people.
Okay.
And then for me, partially doing my podcast, I think, has helped me because when you learn how to talk to someone for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is that I've done, usually now I try to stay closer to 70 minutes, but I've done a 2-hour show with certain really close friends. You have to really listen to that person, and you have to be okay with hearing what they're letting them speak, hearing what they're saying, and then trying to go deeper into what it is they're talking about, or really trying to understand them. Because if not, you're going to give very trivial, surface level answers, and then the conversation isn't going to really go anywhere. But a lot of times I've found that if you listen to someone and you do ask them deeper questions, or just kind of probe a little bit and show them that you listen and care and want to know what they think, conversations can go for a long time, and you can learn a lot about a lot of different people and start to understand how other people are thinking. Sometimes it might be the same as you, sometimes it might not be, but all of it is going to give you a more nuanced, full version of understanding human beings. So I think that's definitely a part of it. I think I'm kind of interested in it, is just getting to know people, whatever it is, my genetic sensibility is that. And also, I don't know, dude, being friends with girls, honestly.
Yeah, you have a lot of respect for women, and I respect that.
I think you gotta be friends with chicks. And And it's funny because I'm like, you gotta be friends with women. Then I'm also calling them chicks. But like, that's how I am because like I have a lot of female friends, but I'm also not like tiptoeing around them. Like they're my homies the same way.
Yeah.
My dude friends are homies. Like, yeah, it's a tiny bit different, but at the same time, being friends with them, it also allows me to like ask them questions that I truly just might not understand or get. Like if I'm thinking about any issue or whatever, I have a question, I can hit them up and be like, yo, like, how do you feel about this? Or like, what is the deal with this? And they can at least give me some kind of opinion that I can add to what my understanding of it is. Right. Or, I mean, I think a big thing for me as a dude was in my like mid 20s was a big revelation was realizing that in my life, I was never scared walking around the city, like ever. Like, I mean, maybe if I went to a neighborhood that I thought was quote unquote bad, but I mean, walking home at night, walking home from clubs, being in the subway at 1 a.m., like my reality was that, yeah, the city's safe. It's fine. Like I never had another mindset. And then I talked to a couple of my friends that were girls and they were like, yeah, I don't take the subway past 11. Like I'm looking behind my back when I'm walking home. And I was like, really? Like, and then I started to go, oh, that's a different way to think. And it's going to change just your overall, like, dude, if you just want to be like biological, like your cortisol levels, like you're going to be more anxious and shit walking home. And if you live a life where there's more fear in it, it's going to affect you in other ways. So when I started to realize that, it's just gave me like more empathy or just kind of sympathy to go, okay, this is how this person might be thinking this way. It doesn't necessarily mean that all of their thoughts are quote unquote like valid or the right way of thinking. Like, I don't know what issue I could make this connect to, but it's more just broad. But it at least let me go, okay, that's how my friends are thinking. Oh, this is what my friend thinks about this. When like Me Too and shit started happening, like a lot of women almost, a lot of them said like, oh, we've all had some kind of story with some guy going too far. And like, again, that shit, I didn't really go like, cause I thought, no, it can't be that rife. And then a lot of girls were like, no, I've dealt with something creepy before. A guy, being too, I mean, dude, even like on my podcast when I've joked about it, even like when it comes to dick pics, dude, the amount of dudes that are just slaying in their dick out there.
And we don't want them all the time.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, not all the time, 98% of the time, okay?
Unless like specific ones, okay?
And specific, yeah, and you're specifically asking that guy like, yo, let me see it. Like,
and I love the guys that have so much confidence. They're like, yo, you want to see it. And
that's
it's like,
what I'm saying. And look, I get it because I've been
right. You've been there.
I've been a horned up dude. I'm still am, and I get it. In the moment, you're like as a guy, you're like, everyone needs to see this. This is like I'm the man. Look at this, and then your other brain has to go, bro, shut up. Just finish and like get.
But have you ever had like men tell you the opposite? Which, and of course, I stand by women, and I've been through it. But I've also had men, I guess, get embarrassed that they've done it, so they change it around and would be like, actually, you assaulted me and we should be part of the Me Too men movement. But I do see
I've never heard that.
You've never heard that?
I'd be like, dude, shut up. Like, honestly.
Oh God, I just have really bad luck.
Yeah.
This is why I won't hit on guys anymore.
Yeah.
And I want to get your opinion on it. I don't mind hitting on a guy, but I do mind constantly hitting on him if he's not going to reciprocate. And I just want to know what you think.
Well, and that's what us as guys have to deal with all the time. So, hey, enjoy
Props. Oh my God, it's horrendous.
Yeah, it sucks ass.
No, it sucks ass. But if I was a good-looking guy or a smart guy, I don't know. How do you have the confidence?
Still, I mean, there's a girl right now that I was hitting on that like seems to be just a little bit, into her own thing, and that's fine.
Do you like that?
I mean, it's gonna make me still pursue her for sure. But the thing is, like, I wouldn't be pursuing her if I didn't actually think she was like worth pursuing at all. If your baseline is just like, oh, I'm gonna play hard to get, I don't have time for that shit, dude. Right. I'm not 21.
Right.
Like, I don't have time. It's not really. You want to play a little hard to get? Yeah, it's fine. Like, it makes it a little bit fun on the dance, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But this girl specifically, I just think she is busy doing her own stuff, and so. But when she was kind of just answering but not really keeping it going, I was like, all right. We'll see what's up when you get back. We'll see what's up when you get back to the city.
It's a challenge, right?
I was like, because I'm gonna fully turn it on. I'm gonna fully turn it on, be like, what's good, where we go, blah blah blah. I'm gonna go
take
for
you
it.
out.
Exactly.
You don't even know these charms.
Yeah.
I'm charming now, baby. You don't even know when I put
was
the
like,
fireworks on
dude,
you.
when I put the sleeves up,
Yeah.
I'm like,
She's not gonna be able to resist.
It's coming out. The Yelp reviews are getting looked at. No, but so I think. I don't know, man. I've been hit on by girls, and I like it. It's definitely.
But if they constantly do it, and we're gonna play a game after the interview called "Psycho or Not Psycho,"
Okay.
and because you're the expert, is that psycho if a girl constantly is meaning? Okay, Dylan, you're sexy.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
great. Now I know she's into me, but then constantly is the one asking you out, asking you for plans. I mean, is that gonna get annoying if you like her?
Well, if a girl started off the conversation, I've said this a couple of times, and I think it's pretty good advice. If you're trying to, you have to know what you're looking for with the guy. And I think girls aren't as good, in my experience, of knowing what they want when they're pursuing the guy as guys are. Like, guys will look at a girl and be like, okay, that's a girl I want to hook up with. Guys will be like, that's a girl I want to take out. Like,
compartmentalize.
Exactly. We know the compartments that they're in. We know how we're pursuing. You know, there's different ways that you pursue different types of women.
Educate.
As a girl, if this is a dude that you want to go out with, or for him to look at you as not just like, let's hook up, you should not be starting out with any sexual undertone, I think. Because as a guy, if you approach him with like, you're so sexy, but maybe you send him a pic, any of that stuff, whatever, and it's some of the first things you're doing, you're going to be filed in his brain under potential hookup, could be great, want to meet her immediately, but not like, let's go do the dating thing. That's what it's been for me. I've felt it happen in my brain where women have like hit me up, messaged me, and then it's immediately gone sexual. And then I've gone, oh, sweet, this is a girl I can like hook up with.
Will you ever think of her as dating though?
It could change potentially, for sure, if you guys, but it's just it's just a numbers game. Like most people aren't right for you. Okay. So then statistically, it's even less likely that the one that you're physically attracted to is then, after you've made the decision to be like, this is like someone I'm gonna fuck, after we can curse on this, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
yeah. And by the way, I only have my phone on because
it's
for
all
the
good.
questions.
Yeah. Like after you are turned into this person that like I want to pursue and have sex with, to then change it and to go, oh, now let's like have a really deep, slow, emotional connection. Because that's the other thing. Physical attraction and emotional attraction, they happen at very different levels. You know, like when you meet someone and you're emotionally attracted to them, it could start hot for sure, but a lot of times it takes time to build trust, vulnerability, to really, get through the layers of someone in terms of like, all right, how much of their dating personality did they turn on in the beginning, and what's their real personality? Like, there's all these things that you got to slowly discover about someone as the months go on. But I mean, physical attraction, immediately, it's subconscious. You just go like, yeah, I'm attracted to that person. So if you're already thinking about that, it's going to take time to build the other one. It just might not work out. It's not that it can't happen. I would just say, if you're trying to pursue this guy and you want to actually go on a date with him and see where it goes. I mean, look, if you're not looking for anything serious, but you are still someone that likes to be taken on a date and go that route, that's fine. But again, I would say, don't start off like, guys, we're very like,
this is
dumb,
really good
dude.
advice. Ladies, please listen in. And I do it myself.
Yeah, look, I understand why you do it, but look, I understand why you do it because it's easy. We're easy to please. You know that if you send them a little side boob, under boob, full, whatever it is, little ass, the guy's gonna be happy and excited.
Or compliment, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or the guy's gonna be happy and excited, and he's gonna want to see you, most likely, because we're dogs. We look at the bone, bam, boom, like we want that. So what I'm saying is, you can do a little bit of that, but also, if you know in your head, like, I need to have some kind of emotional connection to someone, that's fine. But then go the harder route. You want to go the other route because it's easy and you'll get the attention from him.
Right.
But think long term. Don't think short term, oh, I want attention from him. And think, at the end of the day, this is a person. Don't give them any stakes of like, I know them because of this. They're hot. Don't give them the stakes. Just think about them as like, the blank slate, avatar, whatever it is. I want to get to know them. Let me just slowly start on that. Because I've had girls that were like, they started sexual, and then they were like, I need an emotional connection to like have these things happen with guys. And that's completely fine. But I'm like, dude, we've been sexting for like a month, and then now you're like, this is confused, and this is not
That's
how I
where you
thought
get
about
confused,
you.
right.
And it has nothing to do with you. I don't think there's nothing wrong with you. You're a very good person, but personally, if you had said that from the beginning, I probably wouldn't have wanted to keep going forward because I just don't feel that with you. And at the end of the day, like, people sometimes take that as a personal attack, or they take it personally. It's not, dude. Not wanting to get to know someone or being intimate with them, like, it's nothing personal. It has nothing to do with you. Like, there's just no connection. But I've found that when you try to do the little, like, bait and switch where you start out sexually and then you try to be like, oh, well, now let's get to know each other and stuff.
That's also not a good.
It's not a good thing. And also, just as the guy, you kind of are like, wait, what? Like, oh, what? Now you as a dude, you kind of almost feel like, well, where's, like, you're just gonna switch it on me like that? Like, oh, okay, now I have to feel bad if I want to keep it sexual. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because dudes, I think, do sometimes, especially now, sometimes feel guilty about pursuing something too sexual or being too sexual with women, because we've been told, like, the past 5 years especially,
It's not okay.
and it's been brought up, and I mean, for a good reason, because some guys go way too far, and then you go, like, but then you have to pull back. So I think, yeah, just be straightforward about it, I'd say. And the people that I've, like, dealt with recently that have been like, I'm not looking for a hookup, they've said that, I've gone great. And then I've said, this is what I'm looking for, da da da. And even though it might potentially mean that interaction ends, it's so much better. And this is going from a guy that's made that mistake so many times.
No, and it's also coming from, I'm going to be a little bit of a nerd here, but whatever, I'll gas you up because I want
Love
to.
the nerd,
and
yes.
I'm genuine about it, so it's okay that I do it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because you're the cool kid in school, we can trust that. It's not.
Yeah.
Listen, even if you weren't the cool kid, but you have been around in terms of experience. You've seen other people. Like, you've dated yourself. You are a cool, hot guy. You know what to get. This advice is really important because I have so many girls also DMing me, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know how to date, okay? That's going to be the real truth. I don't know how to date.
I mean, dude,
I don't know how to flirt, and I don't know how to hit on people. That's the problem. Most
think
girls don't.
I think you know how to flirt.
I do, but then I take it back because I'm so professional that, and we live and breathe this thing, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're podcasting, comedy, entertainment, you're going on an audition, you're acting, and I want to get into. We have so much to cover. Hopefully, we can cover it, or I know you have to go places.
It's all good,
but
yeah.
we'll get it all done. Because I want to also, I'm so intrigued how you got into stand-up comedy, and you're just so confident. Like, you're one of these people I look up to, and I'm like, yo, this guy.
Thank you. Yeah.
This guy, guys should learn from. Women should try to date. Women should try to have these goals in their head. Because what we do is we go for the shitty guys that don't even have half what you have.
Yeah.
We're playing the game with them, and then we ask ourselves why they ghosted us. And you're making it so simple. I feel like you're educating us to say, no, dude, just be honest. Don't do the back and forth. So you're saying if I like a guy, but I also like his talents, and I also I want to work with him. I like him. I want to hang out with him, but I don't know if I want to date him. Should I be hitting on him? I'm just talking in general, not because a lot of people have asked this question too.
I mean, like, why would you be hitting on him if you didn't know if you want? Like, do you mean this is a guy that you're physically attracted to, and then you start hitting
physically
on him?
and mentally, maybe because, well, like you said, people don't put people on a pedestal, right?
Well, I think if you meet someone and you have some kind of physical attraction, you flirt a little bit,
right,
like
that.
Everyone likes a little flirtiness like that. It doesn't mean anything's going to go anywhere, but if you're flirting, just keep it, just keep it like that little. What is it? I'm trying to think of like. Keep it like a coffee shop flirt. Like, if you think the waiter, or not the waiter, the host, or the cashier. Jeez, I can't think of the fucking name. The cashier. I'm like the maitre d' at the coffee shop. Yeah. If you think that the cashier is like kind of cute or whatever, and then you try very quickly to get like one or two, or just like see if you can get anything going. Like, keep that going with the person. If it's professional or whatever, or you're just trying to like suss it out. But I think a lot of times now, because everyone is everyone's reachable,
Yeah.
Instagram, DM, responding to stories or whatever.
Yep.
It can escalate pretty quickly. So I don't know, like, let it build a little bit. If you're interested in someone, I say go for them. But if it's anything kind of like business wise, I don't know, just you can have a little bit of flirting, but trying to keep it businessy as much as you can, and then maybe you can move on. But like, I had a girl last night who's a friend of mine. She asked me, she had this guy that they went on a couple dates. It was amazing. She's like, it was moving pretty fast. Like, I spent the whole day at his place, et cetera, et cetera. She's like, and now I hit him up the next week because I find this happens where it'll go crazy. It'll burn bright and fast.
Yeah.
And then the next week, the guy will kind of disappear a little bit. And I've been that guy multiple times. And the girl's like,
or the girl.
what
I've
happened?
been
Yes.
the girl.
Yes.
Like,
It
right? Where
happens
you take
both
it,
times.
you like the guy, you're the girl, but you're like, I need to take
You're
it
like, oh,
back.
well, yeah, you're scared of what's happening with you. You don't want to fuck it up. You go, this might burn out really quick, and then I'm going to feel shitty about it, et cetera. Like, we all get scared of our feelings and where things will go because sometimes they do burn out really quick, and then you feel bad because you're like, yo, I thought this was going somewhere. I truly did, and then it ended.
And you talk about fear on We're All Psychos. Again, binge watch it.
Yes.
We're going to get into the podcast more in detail, but you talk about fear with this, and I love the advice. So, yes, continue, because I can't say it. You said it. Like,
Yeah.
no, don't come from a place of fear, basically,
especially
especially dating.
You can't come from. And so I told her.
Yeah.
She was like, you know, I texted him and I was like, what's going on? Like, I feel like it went all great, and all of a sudden it's pulled back, and she quickly like kind of overreacted and became the person that was like, we were something last week and now what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Like, she kind of leaned into the stereotypical girl that's like freaking out over something. And not even anything that extreme, but she was reminding me of past experiences where I've had that. And the guy was kind of like, look, I've just been busy. I think things were great. I think he's moving a little bit too quickly, but I do still like you. And then he didn't respond. She hit him up like a week later and was like, hey, I kind of freaked out last week for no reason. That's not how I really am. Like, I want to see you again. And then he didn't respond at all. It was like 3 weeks ago. And she's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I do want to see him again, but then my friends say if I text him again, like, I'm going to seem crazy, blah, blah. And I was like, yo, listen, who gives a fuck if your friends say you seem crazy, or even if he thinks you're crazy? Because at the end of the day, like, if you're reaching out to someone as a human being and saying, hey, look, I know things ended kind of weird 3 weeks ago. I really had a good time with you, and I would like to see you again. If you would like to see me again, please respond. If not, it's totally cool. I get it. I hope everything is going great and wish you the best. If someone tries to characterize that as a crazy text, that person is an asshole, and also like not being honest. That's just a
I love that you're like, and you do this on your podcast.
Yeah,
I feel like you're our cheerleader.
Just go for it, dude.
To be like, dude, stop being insecure, stop being fear. You're so right.
People are so scared of like someone thinking they're crazy.
Yes.
Or someone like, and dude, yes. I understand it because as a guy, I've always been worried like, oh, is the girl gonna tell her friends that like I'm this shitty guy or I was a fuck? Like, I've had all those thoughts as well. And then the more I've done it, the more I've dealt with it. Number one, I've realized that most of the time these people aren't talking about you. And if they are, it's to their 3 or 4 close friends that are never going to know you and don't care about you. And then 5 minutes later, you're going to be talking about like a feud between DaBaby and Joe Asina, or whatever the fuck her name is.
Or like, Harry Styles.
Exactly. You're going to be talking about fucking Harry Styles.
Your stories, by the way, we're going to get to that. It's hilarious. I love your commentary. Yeah.
So this is your life, and if this is someone that you care about or you think it could work with, take that extra shot. Like, go for it. There's only 2 options. It works out, okay, or it doesn't work out. You get left on red by them, and you got to sit with that like hurt. But also, I think if you think about it in a mature way, you go, oh, I'm dealing with this. It's not the end of the world. Also, the fact that they ghosted me, I probably don't want to hang out with this person anyway if they're not even going to respond to a nice text. Fuck that. That shows me that I don't want this person in my life anyway. And the more rejection and shit you deal with, the easier it gets, and the more you realize that, like, it's not the end of the world. And just, you get to be like, damn, I took a shot. Like, I went for it at the end of the day. Good or bad, you can be proud of yourself for going, oh, I tried. I fully tried. I didn't let shit die.
And I didn't give him like a lollipop and then take it back. Right. I fully tried.
I fully double texted, whatever. I fully did that. That's like that we've made embarrassing. Everyone's talking about vulnerability as like, it's so great to be vulnerable. And then at the same time, they're shaming like being vulnerable and truly going for it, or like saying it's embarrassing. I guess it's embarrassing to be vulnerable because you're fully putting yourself out there and leaving yourself ready to be rejected. But at the same time, I'll respect someone so much more that's like, yeah, I tried a couple times and I hit him up and they didn't respond and it sucked ass, but then I moved on. And it's like, yeah, dude, you gotta, because if not, you're just gonna go back to the same cycle of, on these dating apps, you try a little bit, you don't fully try, you're talking to 3 other people, you're not fully committing, and then it doesn't work out, and then you say, dating apps suck. No, dude, none of you guys are committing and trying and being vulnerable and at least like putting yourself out there. Dating apps don't suck, but you have to really try on it. You can't half-assed do these things where it's like, well, I just swiped because I thought like maybe it'd be fun, and then like I didn't try to make a conversation because like whatever. No, dude, just go for it. You're not gonna get embarrassed. The only person that gets to decide if you're embarrassed is you. At the end of the day, okay? Someone can tell you that's embarrassing, and then I do it all the time. Someone's like, "Oh, that's embarrassing. That's damn, I can't believe you did that," and I go, "Yeah, I did it though. I don't give a fuck."
I know that's
just,
what
I just don't give a fuck.
How do you have the confidence?
I train myself. I don't give a fuck. I literally was like, I don't give a shit. I would say that to myself all the time. Embarrassing shit would happen, or someone would go, I don't give a fuck. Literally, I just, oh shit, okay, fuck it.
But do you ever have this complex of, what if I don't get what I want, and what I want makes me happy? But what you're saying is, well, then go for what you want, so you're not angry and you don't regret it.
You go for what you want. Because then at the end of the day, you're like, I at least tried to get it.
Yeah.
And then you, along the way, discover what it is that makes you happy. Your idea of happiness changes. You realize that the happiness is more within you in terms of just being like, I'm happy with where I'm at and I would like this thing very much. Like, you can have this duality of, I'm happy right now. This goal, this like money-wise, tangible car-wise, person-wise, any of it. I think this will make me happier. I'm going to pursue it, and it would. But I'm also good with where I'm at now. So if it doesn't work out, I still have the strength to go. But I'm still good now. I still have things in my surrounding life that are good and make me happy. Like, make sure you have the friends that make you happy. You know, you get the music that makes you happy. You need to know how to take care of yourself and make yourself happy, and be happy with just being alone and being yourself.
And being rejected sometimes
100%.
too.
Because, and you just have to constantly tell yourself, yo, it's not about me. I mean, you know when it's about you. You know when you did something nuts.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But even this girl that was like, oh, I became kind of the crazy girl, da-da-da-da. I mean, yes, did you maybe like push it towards some level? But if it's that fragile and doesn't work out in the beginning, like, it's not like you were an insane person going through his tweets and texts and saying like, you said this and you said like, that's not insane. That's just you kind of having feelings and letting them go a little bit too far, or you like showing your anxieties and your insecurities, like, which is fine. But you got to be okay if someone doesn't really want to deal with that. I've had girls that have showed that, and I've been like, you know what? I'm like, this is reminding me of some shit in the past. I don't really want to deal with this, and I don't. It's my right to go, I don't want to deal with that, and it's your right to have it. So it's me just saying, I don't think this is going to work out. There's nothing wrong with you, but just put yourself out there, and yeah, dude, I don't give a shit, and it's not about me. If you say those two things with dating, I think it helps a lot. It's not about me, because it's not.
So psycho or not psycho, probably not psycho in this situation.
That's definitely not psycho of her. Something psycho is like, you know when you're being crazy, when you're like fully creating these narratives, or you're texting them all the time. That's the actual crazy shit. Going a little over the edge or falling into something a little bit too fast, it's not crazy. It's just like, we have emotions and they can go from 0 to 60. And if you don't know how to tell yourself to, okay, I know I feel this, but I'm going to take a couple steps back because I've seen this story before and I know where it goes. You're going to fall into it. We've all had the first time where you fully are like, oh, I'm in love with this person. And that's because your brain is like pumping in all these chemicals and you don't know what to do. And then 2 weeks later, it all falls apart and you're like, what the fuck just happened? But you experience that, and then the next time you go, okay, I know I think that I am, but let me not hang out with them 4 days in a row. Let me hang out with them today, and then I'll see them Sunday again. And then let me just slowly let it, because
that's what you mean by training yourself.
Exactly, because your brain is telling yourself you're in love with this person, because your brain still thinks that we're in the jungle or out on the plains, and you find someone, you're like, well, I have to have sex with them and then get them
to be in love with me
right now, to be in love with me.
It's the ego.
And also, 100% the ego. And it's also like, I need to keep like the species going. That's like, like we've been like,
Oh my God, you're brilliant. Okay.
So
go.
I was reading this book,
Yes.
Sapiens, by like Yuval Noah Harari, and he's talking about like the evolution of people and just history, and then you realize that like the history of humankind is from the agricultural revolution, which he talks about was like, I don't know, 11,000 years ago, up until now. Like we've been evolving in terms of just like what's going on, but as humans, as Homo sapiens, like our brain structure hasn't really changed. Our underlying needs, everything that like our motivations, those haven't changed. So to think that like how we're acting and dating is gonna be as like rational as we want it to be is not understanding that we're like animals and that we've been Homo sapiens for 70,000 years and that your brain takes a long time to evolve and change. So you gotta, once you start to understand like, oh, okay, this is my reality. Like that's why I like kind of learning about the biology of it, because then I can like make it something else.
Yeah.
It's not me. I'm like,
oh,
shit.
It's not personal. It's
I'm
science.
Like, I'm like, it's my oxytocin is going on, blah blah blah. And then you like, and then you can like blame it or not blame it, but you like then you understand yourself and go, okay, like. Because we think we have full control of our capacities, but there's all this shit going on under like the subconscious and unconscious level that's really controlling us and pulling the strings in many ways. And I think once you kind of understand that, it just gives you a little bit more like agency or freedom to go, okay, let me just step back. Something's happening that I don't have full control over, but I'm going to do my best to let it run its course and do the thing that's going to take care of me and hopefully lead to the best possible outcome. I don't know.
I love that.
Definitely.
That's
like,
a very evolved,
some
deep.
tangents
No,
on that,
I love being,
yes.
the Scorpio in me. I'm going to use astrology right now.
Yeah. My dad's Scorpio.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That is passion right there. Men Scorpios and women Scorpios. I mean, I'm a Scorpio Sag, so I'm a little more chill.
Well, when's your birthday?
November 21st. It's right on the cusp.
Okay, my
midnight.
mom's like December 5th. So I think she...
Oh, she's a Sag, too.
Yeah, she's
so
Sag,
she's like, but
yeah.
it could be a
but
little bit...
she's got a little bit of Scorpio in her for sure. I mean, look, I don't believe in any of that shit. But
Oh, yeah, I want to know your
But
opinion.
it's always fun to talk about, you know.
Do guys get turned off by it, though? Because I heard it's like, stay away from that on dates. Tell me about what you think.
I've talked about that and I've said, like, I think it's only unattractive.
You're so funny when you talk about it.
I think it's only unattractive if, like, the girl is obsessed with it and she's, like, trying to do your chart and everything.
Like, oh, my God, you're a rising moon? Then that means we can't be together, Dylan. Like, right.
Yeah. I had a girl where we were talking at a bar and it was going great.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, what's your sign? And I was like, oh, I'm a Libra. And she goes, oh, I'm a insert whatever sign doesn't work. She's like, we're not going to work out. Let me introduce you to my friend. She will work out with you. And her friend sucked ass. Her friend sucked ass. And I hated the conversation. Whereas with the other girl, it was going great. Right. So, like, that's the kind of shit.
And she, like, determined for you based on astrology that might or might not be.
Because of the stars that don't give a fuck about any of us, that, like, it wouldn't work. But look, everyone's got their thing, man. I'm not going to judge if you like it. As long as you're not making big life decisions based off of it.
Yeah.
And I also think of it as it's just a way to try to, like, connect with people. We, as humans, again, we're all trying to like explain the unexplainable. So if you want to use that to explain it, and if it makes you feel good and it's not causing any harm, I don't really give a shit. But if you're someone that loves astrology and you're dating someone, maybe just hold it back for a little bit. Yeah. Mention it a little bit for sure. But if you have, if you're the girl that like did the full astrology chart for me on our second date, maybe chill a bit.
No matter how hot she is.
I mean, a lot of times the really hot girls are into astrology.
Yeah, that's true.
But it makes me go like, I don't know. If that's your main thing, for me personally, I'm just like, I don't know if I can deal with this continuously.
Yeah, because like you have a...
Yeah.
Well, you're also very smart, and you need to be stimulated, I feel, by conversation, no?
Yeah, I do. And also, like, if I'll appreciate someone that goes, look, I know that this isn't really, like, true, but I like it, and it...
and, like, what's your sign? I just want to know.
Exactly, and you like talking about it, and it starts conversation, that's completely fine. But if someone, like, fully believes it's kind of like, all right, like, they're checking the co-star every single day. But, look, here's the thing. It's like, you sometimes need to just hear...
Yeah. False
Look,
hope.
the comedian in me wants to be like, it's fucking bullshit, you're an idiot, get over it, all right? So, like, if I'm on stage, or if we're in a podcast where I'm talking more shit, like, I'm going to say that. But... like, man to woman, human to human, I'm going to go, look, words of encouragement help people and they make you feel better. And if you need some kind of direction from whatever it is, whether it be an app or whatever, it's not hurting anyone. Go for it. That's fine. That's your thing.
Right.
Some people have religion. Some people have this. Some, like, people write down what they're grateful for in the morning. That's great too. Like whatever you do that makes you feel good. And if you reading your horoscope is going to give you more confidence and fully like go for it that day and girl boss it, whatever it is, then that's not hurting anyone. That's helpful, you know, but just don't let it get too extreme is what I'm saying.
I love that.
It helps.
We have more dating questions from the audience, but I want to go to stand-up comedy because the industry we're in is very hard. And it's kind of like dating where you have to put yourself out there a lot. So how did you get into stand-up and how did you overcome, I mean, did you feel rejected? Did you feel sometimes you weren't funny enough? Like, how did you get your skill set, I would say, your inspiration in comedy?
I think I still all the time I'm like, not funny enough for this. Like, need to keep like writing more and better because I don't write as much as a lot of my friends do who I know are really good at stand up and writing jokes, but I'm not a set up punchline kind of guy. But the thing is, you can always be better at it, and you should write. But I think I always liked being funny, and then I actually started with improv, and then I started doing stand up on the side because I couldn't do enough improv, and I was like, I still wanted to get up and doing stand up. I didn't have to rely on anyone. I could just go up on my own. I could go to a mic whenever. It was only my decision. And I liked having that control and that power because then the only person preventing me from doing it was me. So then if I was doing it, then I could at least be like, you're being a lazy shit right now. Or this is your decision to not do it. So then I started doing it around 2013 and 2015 was when I started doing it like I would say is the beginning of my quote comedy career because I was doing mics like every day or multiple times a day. Besides that, like before that, I was doing it once or twice a week. I wasn't taking it that serious. And then one of my friends was like, Brad Stoll was like, dude, you got to do it every day or else you're never going to get better. And then throughout it, I think there was a lot of me, and I'm still dealing with it now, caring less and less about the audience and caring more and more about like what you think is funny and trusting that the audience is going to like that because it's this weird that's
the biggest challenge. Or even other comedians, do you ever feel you want the acceptance from other comedians you look up to? Because I feel that constantly.
100%, and that's a big part of it in the beginning. I'm still dealing with that now a lot, but I think more recently I've at least started to realize that as a fan of comedy, like I never look at a comic and go, what do other comedians think about them? You know what I mean? I mean, as a comedian, I do, but as an audience member, if I like someone's comedy, I'm not asking what other comics in the back of the room think, you know?
Right.
I mean, look, like Dave Attell, everyone accepts he's one of the best comedians ever, and all comics like him also. But then, like, when you watch him on Netflix or like in Bumping Mics or whatever, your special, as an audience member, you're not going like, oh, I like this guy because a lot of other comics like him. You gotta, again, just be like, what do I think is funny? Let me keep pushing at it. Let me try with different audiences. Let me have a couple comedian friends that can be honest with me and say like that joke, probably should stop doing it, or here's a different way to go about it. So you can at least keep some kind and keep yourself around funny people, honestly. Because when you're around funny people, you'll see what's going to work, and then that's going to make you funnier.
Do you feel like audience? So when I do stand up, which I try to do as much, but again, and we're going to get into it.
Hard right now.
I mean, it's harder also on women in
Definitely
general,
is.
And it's harder when I come from reality background. So I get it. It's like you need to earn your dues, and it doesn't
people
matter.
think like this is some reality chick.
Like I'm just going to get what I want. Like I've done stand up New York. A lot of times people don't know that I got on Princesses because I did a lot of open mics. So they found me there. They were doing a casting. They look for comedians sometimes for reality because we're better at improv.
For sure.
And we're better at being real with our improv, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So it's like being on stage sometimes. However, I think it's interesting that you're saying this because a lot of people kind of scare you from getting in the industry. So I like that you're, being open with it. What do you suggest, I guess, if you're going in an open mic, but no one's laughing at your jokes? There was times that the audience would laugh at my jokes that people at the open mic wouldn't. Don't you think the audience is a better judgment, or no, you feel like you really should be going to do both?
So I think that...
Does that make sense? Like, have you ever had a real show laugh at your jokes, but then you'd be on a full room of really amazing, talented comedians because they're so, I guess, hard on the craft?
It's a lot easier. Well, they've seen someone do the easy jokes 1,000 times, so it's not going to make them laugh. When I laugh at a joke in a mic, usually I'm like, oh, that has potential to be really good, or that's a good premise. Like at open mics, you should be thinking like, does this premise like work? Does it have legs? Can I make this into something fully formed? Because yes, the audience at the end of the day is the like judge, jury. Like they're the person you should care about the most. But the audience might lie a little bit to you, and I don't mean like. I mean in the sense of how long is this joke going to last? Because you could do an easy joke and people are going to laugh at it. Everyone's going to laugh at like a dick joke, stuff like that. But that's not going to be the joke that maybe gains you fans. That's going to be the joke that they were like, that person's funny. But then the other comic that goes up and maybe does something that's more like about them, that's their style, their joke, they're going to remember that person's name. You have to think about it like long term sometimes. So you go, yes, you can do the easy stuff, but then you got to try a little bit. All right, what's something really funny that I think that is exemplative of like how I think and what I think is funny? And that is a Chanel or a Dylan joke, some joke that's like, this is me so that no one can even do it. You know, everyone has a dick pic joke. Everyone has a this joke. No one has a like, I got cheated on, blah, blah, blah. And then it's specific to your life joke. Like, I was watching a clip of like Kevin Hart randomly the other day because I was watching the 2020 stand-ups on Netflix, and it has like clips of all the people that were in it. And there was one clip of his that is about how he got caught. Like it's about him getting caught cheating, and it was his wife, and it was because his friend was on the phone, and his friend said some shit, even though he tried to like through code tell him like, my wife's in the car, don't say anything. Now, the premise of getting caught cheating has been done by 1,000 comics.
Right.
But he made it his own with the certain ways of doing it, this is the code that I was trying to use, and by making it a story and making it fully his. So at the end of the day, like, it's a funny premise and it's also his premise. So I think that's what causes audiences to remember you. So yes, audiences are going to laugh at a lot of shit, but also learn to judge. You got to learn to know when that's an okay laugh or when that just hit them laugh. And those are the ones that you want to get more of. You go to mics to test out premises, test out tags or whatever. I don't know. I don't expect them to be laughing all the time, but when they do laugh at something, especially when it's unexpected, that's when I go, okay, that has some kind of potential, because everyone at that mic loves comedy to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And I think their brains have been wired to kind of react to a good premise.
Yeah.
So then they're going to give some kind of reaction. Not always.
Makes sense though.
Sometimes the audience, the fucking mic is just in a bad mood. They're just not going to like you. And like, whatever, it's fine. But you'll start to learn more and more like, okay, is this a premise that I want to do? Is this something good? Is this, a lot of times in the beginning as comics, we get caught up on like making an observation that's like has a little bit of attitude in it, is kind of funny, and we think that's a joke, and it's not really a joke, it's just an observation. But the audience is still gonna laugh at it because they're like, oh yeah, no, I've seen that, you know.
Right.
But if you make a joke, a fully fledged joke, it's got more layers. You can create tension, because a lot of comedy is like creating tension. Like if you watch really good comics, like Chappelle does it amazing to where he'll leave seconds of silence to where and then say something really deep or like intense, and you'll feel like the mood kind of like not get sadder but get more extreme. And because you trust him so much, you know he's going to release that tension, but he's creating and releasing tension all the time and like leaving like large moments of silence. It's one of my best friends was like he talked about how comedy is like music and there's rhythm to it. And Chappelle's rhythm is really good. He knows how to he's got the hook, he's got all of it in there, and then he hits you with the joke, the punchline,
the chorus,
and it releases it, and it's masterfully done. So if you think about it like, okay, how do I create tension? How am I going to release that tension? How am I going to give them a misdirection? That's all going to lead towards more repeatable and like jokes that are your own, is how I think about it. And when you test those at mics, you'll get a better read on them than at a show.
Yeah.
Because then also people at shows, they're primed to laugh.
Right, because the hype before, the host.
They're there to laugh.
I love that you're being so honest about it. Because everyone, like, it's funny because a lot of my ex-boyfriends would be like, oh, I could do this. And I'm like, dude, don't even say that in front of, like, comedians who've been doing this for years and how hard it is, because it's not that easy. And I've been, like, listen, I've been the class clown for years. It's not that easy to get on that stage and make people laugh.
And also,
sometimes you also have awkward people, right?
For sure. You're awkward. The crowd doesn't like you.
Yeah.
You're in a weird mood.
Yep.
Also, yeah, dude, you could do it once at a crowd that's hot.
Yep.
And then maybe for 5 minutes.
Yup.
But what about all the times where it's not that great and you're trying to make something work? And those are the times that make you good. The shows that are good where the audience loves you, those don't really make you good. The shows that are kind of hard and you're working to make them laugh at you and like you, those are the shows that make you really good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I love that's really good advice. I mean, what's the inspiration behind your set usually? What's like your shtick? What's
I just like telling stories that are embarrassing about me or like that have observations about my life. But if I can make fun of some shit that happened to me, it's more fun because at the end of the day, like we all can relate to some shit going wrong
right?
or bad. And it gives you a connection to that person. Like a lot of times I say that like when I get off stage, this is how I think about it now. It might change. But a lot of times when I get off stage, I want that person to be like, oh, I just saw like my best friend on stage, like killing it. Or just when you feel that kind of connection to where you feel like you know them.
And I love that person so much.
Exactly.
Like there's just
You
so
know
much
them.
love. Yeah, you know them. You
like
know
when
them.
you see certain comics on stage, you're like, I feel like I know that dude. Like
Yeah.
he reminds me of this, and that. And that's what I think keeps you coming back. And it makes you, because it not only makes you laugh, but this familiarity, like you want them to do well. You want to see them again. You want to like see them try out new things and hear about the good and bad that's happened to them. So like that's what I try to do. And I've been through enough stories and have enough like fucked up shit that's happened to me that like and fucked up, like not like my parents abused me. I mean like, oh, I got 4 tickets in like a day and
Right.
talking about some dumb
Just
shit like
bad
that.
luck stuff.
Yeah.
That happens to all of us.
And also, yeah, exactly.
I mean that we don't think happens to hot people and smart people, but it
Yeah,
does.
no,
Okay,
it does. 100%.
It does.
Yes, not as much maybe. I don't know, but definitely that's the kind of shit that I like to talk about. It's
Everyday life.
It's just stories, stuff that's happened to me. If someone says something or an event happens that's like so profound in terms of like, I had a joke about how a girl would like call herself like, I was like, oh, what are you doing this weekend? She's like, oh, like, you know, I'm just going to go home, like, and not do anything. Like, I'm such a grandma. And then I remember she said that to me. And in the moment, I was like, I didn't say anything. But in the head, I was like, yo, don't fucking do that. Don't blame grandmas. You're just boring. And that's okay. Just be boring. You don't have to blame some 80-year-old woman who like might be so much more interesting than you. Like, and all that's going on in my head, but then on the outside, I'm like, oh yeah, for sure, I totally get it. And in the inside, I'm like raging against her, but like that's that
funny.
Kind of shit
That's
is
relatable.
that kind of shit. Well, yeah, because we've also, that's why I think Seinfeld,
You also know women pretty well because we do say that a lot. Oh, I'm
That's
going to be
what-
boring like
yeah.
my 90-year-old grandma.
And you're like, just say, oh, I'm going to be boring. Don't blame it on the grandma. But also, like, that's why Seinfeld and Larry David are so famous, and like those shows are so famous is because the way they talk on those shows are the things that happen. That's like real everyday shit that everyone's kind of been through and had the thought to say something, and then they don't say it, and then in the show they say it. That's why.
It's like stand-up comedians. They're saying what you're thinking.
They're saying what we think all the time,
but in a really funny, cool way.
Yes,
that
because
you
they've
just can't.
workshopped it 1,000 times to where it's the funniest, quickest, to the point that you laugh and clap at without like you're just like, oh, that makes sense. That's the kind of thing.
Also, I think you need to be really smart to be a comedian. I think
I think
a lot of comedians are past teachers, scholars.
A lot of, I mean, if you're really good at writing jokes,
Yeah.
it's you definitely are a pretty smart person. The people that are really good at writing
well
jokes,
articulate like you can't be. It's not discrimination. It's not saying you can't. I'm just saying I've seen friends that it's been harder, like if they don't have a big vocabulary, if they don't get things quickly, if they don't know how to write the joke out. I mean, look, I'm a good writer. It
you're
doesn't mean I'm
writing
a great
jokes-
joke writer.
Yeah, if you're writing jokes, I think. But then, and then there are the people that like,
Can storytell really well. And
like
improv.
someone like Joey Diaz is like one of the best comedians.
So
like,
funny.
He's so fucking funny. And like if you see him live,
I'm so happy you're saying this because also
Yeah.
a lot of people don't give him, I feel, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, the credit that he deserves.
he's like finally getting it. But dude, when I saw him live, I was like, I don't think I'll ever be able to do that. Like that's how funny it was in terms of like how he made the room like shake. And there are certain comedians that are like that they don't have these like well put together, polished like Mark Norman jokes, who by the way is also so fucking funny.
So funny.
For sure, but he's a different type of comic than Joey is. But Joey is more this like raw, you can even more relate to him because you all have like that uncle, or I mean he calls himself Uncle Joey. He's that kind of just raw comedy that is so visceral that it doesn't even matter if he's got all these like amazing setup punch, which by the way, the thing that makes him so good is that he had all that raw talent and then was like, how do I insert joke structure, setup punch? How do I insert all that other shit into it to make it really, really good? But those people you see and you go, yeah, they might not have started off like, oh, I love setup punch, da 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 da, but they just had the raw talent. There are those people as well, but you got to figure out which one you are and then really lean into it. That was a big thing for me was like, okay, stop trying to be this other comic or this type of comic that you think you should be. Just realize what type of comic you're probably going to be. And that takes like years to realize like, okay, am I going to be storyteller or am I going to be setup punch guy? And then when you realize that, just lean into that instead of trying to be someone else because you think it's like the right thing to do.
I love that advice. No, because then that's how you're going to really find your niche if you really want to do it. I always encourage people to do it. I mean, I love it.
Shit, dude, you might do it for 6 or 7 years and go, you know what? This actually isn't what I want to do. I'm happy I did it, but I want to move towards writing for TV or doing it or writing, like whatever it is. I think stand-up comedy is really good because it can show you if you want to do it or not. And at the end of the day, it's going to improve you as a person. And I don't know, like allow you to understand yourself more because it is really introspective and it's going to allow you to understand what you want to do, I think, more than before you started it.
How do you become successful? Let's talk about both comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Because, those are comedians that their goal is to have a Netflix special. Some of my comedian friends are like, Chanel, I don't give a shit about acting. I don't give a shit about reality TV. I want a Netflix special. That's the goal of hustling every night at bars and clubs.
And that's good. That's
great.
A very specific goal to have.
Very specific.
Awesome.
And then I have friends, which I'm sure you do, who are like, I do stand-up because, like, I've done stand-up because it's gotten me opportunities like hosting with Cedric the Entertainer or getting on a reality show. Or if that makes sense. I don't think people talk about that enough because Emma Willman was on the podcast. She goes, dude, you definitely did not get on that show by just being a random. No, you definitely had something there where the producers aren't telling you what to do and you have to be that quick.
Yeah, I mean, stand-up is just refining your, like, comedic tool bag in terms of like understanding how to be funny on the spot and also maybe pitch a joke in the moment because even with reality TV sometimes you take multiple takes of shit.
Yes.
Okay, sometimes shit has to happen
and I had to cry 10 times
exactly.
Or make someone you're right,
or there's an entrance that they're like and that didn't work out. I mean, look, it's reality but it's also a produced show, like we all know that. So to be able to in the moment be like, actually I'm going to say this that time, that's working a comedy muscle. But like if you go into comedy and you think, I want to just get the Netflix special, then go for it. You know what to do. You just hustle. You do as many mics as you can. Make as many friends with comics. Try to hang around them. Really push yourself out there. Keep asking to do shows no matter what. Like even if it feels shitty. Like I've had to get better about that because it sucks to like constantly ask.
Really embarrassing. But you have to do it.
You keep going. Yeah, and then but if you realize 5 years in, maybe I'm just using this because I want to, get discovered for this thing or to host. Like, all of that's fine. But I think the biggest thing is knowing what you want so you can kind of set in on it. Like, I do want a Netflix special. A special is cool, but that's actually not what I'm focused on right now.
Right.
What I'm focused on more is like, I want to build a big fan base and then be able to go tour and see them and then also talk to them on my podcast so I can feel like connected to all my fans more than let me somehow find a way to get a 15-minute special on Comedy Central, because I don't know, half the time I feel like that's not the thing anymore. There's so many fucking specials now that it's like oversaturated. It's more like, again, I'm thinking long-term. I think a special used to be thinking long-term because a special equaled some form of success. Now I'm thinking do stand-up for 30 years, a.k.a. like make a fan base so that you can always tour, so that you can always have your podcast, so you can go other places, which will eventually maybe lead to other opportunities. If all of a sudden, like it's insane that he still doesn't have a special, but Mark Norman created a fan base, was doing stand-up all the time. Of course he wants a special, and he might have a Comedy Central on. I'm not sure.
Yeah, now he does.
He doesn't have a Netflix one. But he was like, I want to get a bunch of fans. I want to be amazing at stand. He's like, I want to be one of the best stand-ups ever, which like he is going to be. But he released his special on YouTube, and it has like almost 6 million views. Right. But just from him releasing it on its own. But that's from his huge fan base, him creating it, him hustling and doing his podcast and everything. And so now, when he eventually does get a Netflix special, it's not the end of the road. It's like, it's not, I don't even know, maybe the end goal for him, because he's like, I'm thinking bigger, which is just to increase these fans and be able to tour globally now, which he is already maybe doing. I'm not sure, but it's like the special isn't as long term as I think the fan base is now. Get the fan base. I think is the you are always trying to do that with stand up, but for me now it's like find the people that like you because that's going to allow you the freedom to do what you want in the industry, and then maybe realize that stand up isn't the only thing you want to do. Maybe you want to make sketches more, whatever the fuck it is. But
that's
then
so true.
When you have the fan base, it gives you the freedom to try other shit out, to do the podcast, like whatever it is that you like doing. You might do a podcast for a year and go, actually, you know what? I don't really fucking care about this. But whatever it is, it gives you that freedom, which I think is, so that's what I focus on. I don't focus on it's easier, honestly, to focus on get the special because it's one thing.
Right. They say focus on one thing. And listen, you and I mean, I'm not going to speak for you. I'll speak for myself right now, and I'm sure you could chime in, is that I love the stand-up. We love stand-up also because it's stand-up. We love getting on that stage, even if it's at a bar or at a dive bar or on a rooftop, just for that energy, that 100%. that thrill or whatever. Yeah. But you're right. I'm happy you're talking about, especially the generations to come. Like, you do have to be multifaceted. You can't just be a producer and that's it. You can't. I don't think. Yeah. If you really, people ask me if you really want to make it. For me, I had to take a lot of different avenues. That's probably why
you gotta try them out. Yeah.
Trader of all, whatever, jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, yeah.
But that's why I want to talk about your podcast, because I think you are so brilliant at. You're like, okay, stop gassing me up. You're so brilliant at.
We're not hooking up, so it's okay. You know what I mean?
That's weird. I mean, you could tell.
Yeah.
The energy. No, I got to get my self-esteem back up.
There we go.
Anyway, the podcast, why I love it so much is because you're so honest. You're so raw. Like, how are you that way? And what inspired you to come out with this podcast? We're All Psychos. Why We're All Psychos? Is it something that you feel like we're all like?
I think it was like it was August of 2018 was when I first started doing it, and I just because I had been doing another show and had been interviewing people on it with comedian Freddie G, and I liked how the more I interviewed people, the more you could kind of get people to open up about some weird shit that happened to them that a lot of people were scared about talking about because they thought it was like embarrassing or vulnerable or whatever. But I loved hearing about that because that's the real shit. That's also the thing that makes you, you. Whatever happened to you, that's only happened to you. That's the stuff that makes you an interesting, individual. And then the more I did it, the more people I talked to, you also just realize for so long we all think that we are the only people that have these crazy thoughts in our head or these neuroses or think these weird things or have weird tics, whatever the fuck it is. And then the more you talk to people, the more you realize oh, everyone's like this. Everyone's doing weird.
Twitching their shoulder in the middle of a podcast.
Like me this morning, I'm eating salad and I'm there's so much olive oil and vinegar on it that I took a bite and olive oil and vinegar went everywhere and I'm fucking disgusting. If someone saw me, I'm at my most animalistic, gross, it's going all over the place. And then I embraced it because I go, dude, everyone's been there. And everyone's been a fat slob sometimes. And you're literally I'm a fat slob and you kind of like being a fat slob. But when you embrace that, I think it brings people together to go, we all have these individual things that have happened to us and these crazy thoughts. And I think when you talk about them, it makes it okay. Yeah. And it makes it it's not bad anymore. Okay, you had this weird thought. You went fully okay. I mean, it happens with dating all the time because everyone gets so insecure and then they have all these thoughts and they go over the place. It's yeah, okay. Have I seen that someone had a story on their Instagram and then went back an hour later and saw that it was gone and then thought, wait a second, did that person block me from seeing their stories because we first started dating? Am I going to now go to my friend's phone and then look them up on Instagram to see if they have a story? Yeah, dude.
This is a rhythm too, by the way.
I've done that. Exactly. And it's an insane thing to do.
Yes.
And you go, I'm being insane right now.
Am I the only person? This happened to me this morning too.
Exactly. And then guess what? You aren't the only person and we've all been there. And then catch yourself next time. Maybe don't do it. But also, we've been there. So and so when I would have different comics on, because comics love talking about themselves, I would want to get more of that shit out of them. And then I'd get people on that aren't necessarily comics, but have done crazier shit in their life. I had someone who's a dominatrix on, and it was cool to just see her be fully this is why I started doing it. This is the fucked up shit that happened to me in my life, but this is like all this different stuff to go, oh, this is cool. Like, it's cool.
And this is why you are the way you are, right? Because like you said,
this is why you are you. No one else is you. And that's what's, for me, it's like, when I meet someone, I want to know, why are you you? Why aren't you Alexa? You're Chanel. You're who you are. What created that? And it's a cool way to, I think, actually know someone.
Yeah.
We all kind of cursorily know a lot of people.
Yeah.
But if you know, even if it's one experience, if someone shares one experience with you, you automatically are a lot closer with them, because you're like, oh, I actually know them, instead of us talking about sports or whatever the fuck it is. You're like, that person told me about their like bipolar brother and some wild experience they had with them. And then it's also, I don't know, I feel very grateful that someone is willing to share that with me, because it takes, regardless of what happened to you, it takes like, being vulnerable is almost it's gonna sound so corny, but it's like, it's almost a gift to the other person to say, like, I trust you. Yeah. Telling someone I trust you, like, is a gift, because it's telling that person, like, I'm trustworthy, which feels good. So when you're vulnerable with someone and you express, or if you tell them a story, you express some kind of feeling or some kind of insecurity you've had, you're basically like reaching out a hand and saying, like, okay, here, I'm kind of putting myself out there. If you grab it and say, like, it's okay, and I accept you, and hey, let me tell you how I've been like that, then all of a sudden you're just two humans that are like, yeah, no, we've both been like that, and now we're connected, and we like trust and care just on a humanistic level about each other. So that was kind of why I started doing it. And the reason why I called it that, Weird All Psychos, was because, like, if you can embrace that you've done insane shit, then you're good. Because that's the Weird All Psychos is the epitome of, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, that's what it is.
That's what's refreshing.
It's the epitome of, who gives a shit?
Society we're talking about now, how stigmatized and labels, they put labels on it. They stigmatize and they make it negative. Like, that's why I'm always like, oh, hot people, we always think hot people get what they want, or he doesn't know what we're talking about, because people like you haven't gone out and said, no, dude, the whole package deal, whatever you are, whether you're not, whether you're hot according to society standards, we're all going through the same shit.
Yeah.
But you're more real about it. So that's why I like your podcast.
I like to just,
You're like, cut the shit, everyone. I love when you're by yourself. You're like, okay,
let's
guys,
stop,
Bridgerton,
dude.
let's just cut the fairy tale shit.
Stop lying. Like, this the thing.
And you laugh too, dude. You know when someone laughs, it makes you laugh more. It's just so, because you're so real. Yeah. And I don't think we're used to that.
I think people are just like, because for me, like, it's so funny when someone's like, oh, you're being real. And I go, I get what they're saying, but it's just me going, like,
are you not real all the time?
But not even that. It's just me going, like, all right, I guess me being real is kind of being nuts and going, I'm okay with going, like, just expressing my opinions and going, this might be right and this might be wrong, and it's okay either way. And, like, I'm just going to say what the fuck I think, because being real is me being able to go, I think the realist is me being able to do a hour-long podcast, talk some shit, or even, like, if I did a podcast in 3 months and then someone, like, pulled clips from that and they were like, well, you said this, but actually, and they presented some shit that, like, something I said was probably, I mean, I don't know how anything I said today would be problematic, but, like, let's say someone did that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how do you not get scared? I get scared all the time.
I'd be the person that would be willing to be like someone says that to me and I go, oh, okay. Okay, I fucked up. Oh, it's fine. I don't believe that anymore.
And that's why, right, that's why you get away with, meaning when I say get away with it, for lack of better terms, it's more accepted.
If you have the underlying confidence of, I know who I am, like, I know I'm a good person, like, because I'm always trying to figure out how to be a better person. But if you go around with that kind of energy of, like, look, dude, I know I'm a good person. I have family that knows I'm a good person. They've seen me do good things. I continuously try to. So if someone's trying to attack me or disparage me, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you can ask people that know me, that see me and know how I do. And if you're getting worried about someone, taking you down or attacking you like that, maybe that's an indication that you aren't proud of certain things that you do or certain tendencies that you have. And guess what? That's fine. Just work on them. You just got to fucking work on them. The first step is being like, okay, I don't like that I do this. Now, number one, why do I do this? Let me try and figure out why I do it. Number 2, let me get better at it. And let me not do it as much. And if I fuck up and do it, that's fine. Like, it happens in relationships all the time to where either from a past relationship or just who you are, maybe you're a big guilter, right?
Oh, yeah.
People do that. Like,
You mean guilt other people?
exactly.
Oh, I'm the reverse.
guilt
People
yourself.
and I guilt myself, way too much.
But let's just say you're a big guilter of your partner.
Okay.
Okay. And you kind of know that, but like, there's so many things in life that like we kind of know, but we don't really want to like actually admit it, so that it's in the background, so that when someone brings it up, you get super defensive because you know that it's the truth and you don't want to confront it. But then let's say someone confronts you about it, who's your partner, and you're like, okay, I need to get better about it. You're not going to immediately stop it all the time. But if you start seeing it in the beginning and start going, oh shit, I just did that. Or even if you do it to someone, and then instead of guilting someone and not saying anything, 5 minutes later you go, okay, I know that wasn't right. I know I just guilted you. I did that shit. I'm sorry. Okay. Then at least you're saying, I did it. I admit it. Now I'm going to try to be better. But like, that's the shit. And then if you admit you're wrong or you admit your faults, you can go, yeah, I know.
The sky's the limit,
getting
too.
better, dude.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be better. Like, I'm trying to be a better person. If someone's trying to guilt you for some shit and then you go, yeah, I know. I'm trying to make that better. Then it's like,
what can they say?
what the fuck are they going to say? Okay, well, then you're just shaming me. So then what are you trying to do? Make me feel bad? That's what you're trying to do right now? Okay. And look, of course there's extremes. Like if someone goes like on a racist tirade and they're like, yeah, I'm trying to get better. And you're like, well, are you? Like there's always the outliers, but I'm talking about the normal 80% of what people are doing. I'm trying to be better. And if you're still trying to make me feel bad, it's like, okay, just look at someone's actions. That's what I try to do. Like, I can say all I want, but then how I am to people, I trust and I'm confident that there are enough people that are like, I know Dylan, I know how he is. He's a good dude. So if someone tried to come at me, disparage me, I would, 2 things. I'd go, either they're just lying, or I'd go, okay, there's some truth to it. I have kind of been like that at times, and I'm trying to be better about it. And I'm sorry if I, like
what's the harm? You're right. What's the harm in admitting that?
No one's like allowed to, everyone wants people to apologize now, but then at the same time, no apology is good enough.
Yep.
So it's like they don't accept the apology.
Yep.
So then people are like worried about apologizing. But if you just go out and I think people don't like apologies because they're all politician apologies where they're written by someone else and they have buzzwords in it. But I mean, if you just go out and you're like, hey, look, I mean, okay, so I'll give an example. This is a little bit controversial. Crystalia just came out with an apology.
Yep.
On YouTube.
Now,
like, I'm unaware of I'm unaware of the intricacies of the legality. If anything is involved with it where the person was underage, he should be prosecuted for that. That's not okay. And even if you apologize for that, you still did something wrong. So, okay, I can maybe believe that you're contrite, but you still have to pay the price because you did something wrong. And you need to bet yourself in terms of like, why would you, whatever. There's like, there's a lot to it. But he came out and he was very honest and real and talked about the shit that he's dealing with. And so many people were so quick to just rag on him or whatever. But like, look, I'll just choose to believe him. He makes an apology. It seemed like he was being real. It seemed like he was very contrite and was like, he was trying to repent. And I'm going to choose to believe him. And I'm going to choose to see what the actions are after and see how he goes about. And I liked seeing someone just come out and say, fucked up, and here's what I'm dealing with. And also, when anyone like famous comes out and apologizes, most of the time they've talked to a lawyer and the lawyer's like, you can't say these things because we're currently in legal battles, and if you say this, then it means you admit it, and then it's going to fuck the case up. So there's a whole bunch of other shit that people aren't even thinking about behind the scenes that is preventing them from maybe saying something that they wish they could, but will end up fucking them over, like in some legal battle.
Call her daddy incident.
Exactly.
We can refer. Sophia Franklin couldn't really talk about it for a while.
Yes,
because of legal
100%.
People don't realize. You're right.
But it's like I saw that and went, that's someone apologizing. I respect them for coming out and apologizing. I'm going to choose to believe that what he's saying is right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I will wait for any other evidence to come up because like there are a bunch of women that came out and said that was the other thing about it, was that it was all like, it was very up in the air. So, or it was very like confusing because
convoluted, because he says, sex was at the heart of my life always.
Yes.
But then I also felt like he didn't. I mean, I also know Chris D'Elia. I've seen him, like Mark Norman, in the back with their notes. I've never seen them hit on a woman like that
it's
before.
all after. It's all after.
And
the
I know
show.
it's all after you get.
Yeah.
Again, I don't hang out like that. I know a lot of it is hanging out with the comedians and getting booked. However, I don't think it was the full truth. Meaning he could have owned some of it, but I'm sure, and the other half could just be an apology. Like, I'm really sorry that I hurt people, and I'm really sorry that I came off like that. But I guess that was an honest thing that he said. I guess I didn't know that sex was at the. I guess you're right. We don't know. We don't know people
and you know what? Like,
really well.
When people,
and if it was, is it bad? Is that such a bad thing?
And people go like, oh, like, how do you not know?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. People are ignorant of shit. People, like, okay, you're telling me you can't admit to, like, not knowing something?
You're right. Not everyone's so self-aware.
Or you can't admit to being oblivious. People are fucking oblivious all the time. Just, like, let them apologize and let them say, like, mea culpa. Just let them say it. And then if you don't like them, you don't like them. Let them be. And that's it. But just try to accept apologies more. If they're real and they're honest, try to accept apologies and then see what happens after. If they're going to treatment and they're trying to do it, good for them. But I always just, I don't know what it is. I think it's, I don't know what it is for real. I think it's maybe genetic, how I've experienced a lot of different human beings. I always err on the side of, like, just let them apologize. Like, let them bring, like, come back to society. Let someone rehabilitate. That's the word I'm thinking about for certain things. I mean, look, again, extreme, Cosby, Weinstein, jail, no rehabilitation, dude. You did all this shit. Like, even if you say you're sorry, okay, I do believe that you're sorry, but what you did is unforgivable and you have to pay the price for it. Even if you're sorry. I'm sorry doesn't mean it's over. It just means at least admit that you know that it was wrong. And I'm owning, and I will accept the consequences. Exactly. And like, I will try to be better. Even those dudes, like it would have been insane if Weinstein came out and was like, what I did was really fucked up and, like, I can't believe I did it. I'm ashamed. And I'm gonna, like, you know how insane it would be if he came out and was like, and I'm gonna go to jail because I deserve to go to jail, and I'm sorry to all those women. It wouldn't have made what he did any less, like, bad, because it was fucking horrible and heinous, and he should be in jail for the rest of his life. But you would kind of have gone, oh, he's human. Whoa, that's crazy that he admitted all that. Like, you don't want to say respect because you don't respect him, but you do go, that's a big move to just go, all right, yeah, but, like, people don't do that because they don't want to admit that they're wrong. But admitting that you're wrong is like letting your ego fully get hit, and you go like, yeah, I'm wrong. So with the Leah thing, I was like, you know what? Good for you, man. You came out and you did it. Again, I'm gonna sit and watch what happens, but I'm gonna choose to believe that you do actually think what you did was wrong, and you are trying to get help, and you are working to be better, and you fucked up, and everyone, and I hope it turns out to be true that everyone you were with was over 18. This is not to say that, like, a 35-year-old hooking up with a 21-year-old isn't, like, quote unquote, like, maybe gross or creepy, because I could see how you could feel that. All right. And when I'm 35, I don't really think I'm going to be fucking 22-year-olds. Right. But at the same time, like, I don't know, man. That's his business. That's his business. Gross. And I also have to admit, like, we talked about this, not to be repetitive, but I'm not excusing it, but what I'm saying is it gets convoluted when the guy is successful. We've seen this with comedian guys. Nobody looks their way at the beginning, but all of a sudden they're fucking successful. They're hot, and girls are sexual with them and then take it back. Yeah. And then they feel they were manipulated. So again, I'm not defending. I'm just saying you're right. We can't continue this cancel culture and not give people a chance to talk about the new, come back, whatever it is. Yeah. Right? I mean, to cancel someone. I mean, I know how that feels sometimes. It's just like you got to give people a break, and you got to let them tell their story. You got to let them reinvent themselves. You got to let them, I don't know, get better, like you said. Let someone be honest. If someone's honest and comes out and says something and they apologize, I go, okay. But everyone you can smell when someone is reading something that they wrote that they don't really believe. Yeah. And that's when you're like, okay, well, now you're just lying. Like, just people don't like liars. Just speak from the heart, dude. Just speak from the heart and be honest and truthful. That's what I love about We're All Psychos. It's like you're being honest about
we're all the same. We all have our weirdness or our craziness, our insecurities, and this is how I'm going to be real, whether I'm right or wrong.
And I want to be real about, like, this is a thought that I'm having in the moment. Like, even all of what I just said about Dalia, I might go home and in 6 hours think about it more and then go, oh, well, actually, this is what I really feel about it. And then if someone was like, well, you said all the stuff about Dalia, I'd go, oh yeah, I thought that at the moment, and I thought about some more, and then this is a more nuanced take that I think about it. Or something else comes up, and all of a sudden I go, well, based on this information, this is how I changed my mind. But like, dude, you're allowed to fucking change your mind and have an opinion and have it change. Like that happens.
Yes, I'm happy you're saying that. And by the way, podcasts, I mean, you're giving me a good time and not a lot of time, but usually they're 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
So you can't get the full story. That's why people have people back. I know we have to wrap up a little bit. What would you say was your favorite episode and why? Out of We're All Psychos, who was someone that you interviewed that you were like, wow, like I am taken back, blown back. This person has taught me so much.
Oh man, I had this psychologist Jameson Webster on. She was really cool. We talked about a lot of Freudian stuff. That was a lot of fun. I like the favorite shows for me are going to be the ones where like I laughed really hard. So some like with my friends Usama, Nick Callis, Allie Brown, Mike Kelton. Like these are people that are just very funny, fun individuals. That
good people
were all,
too.
Yeah, just really good people. And but I think some of the most recent ones with like Oye Mayo and then Carmenife. Carmenife is the dominatrix, and Oye Mayo is this guy that was selling like street cocktails and just like started hustling and making it. And those were both really cool because it was those are both cool because it was like just really going for it, and their stories and what they had to deal with in order to get to where they're at, and how they just like they both had a lot of confidence in themselves and just drive, which was really commendable. But if I'm thinking more, because I'm going through the catalog of all the different shows that I had, there was one recently with Gastor Almonte where he talked about getting diabetes during COVID and how having to deal with that alone in the hospital. And we talked about that, and we also talked about like storming, like the people that stormed the Capitol, like almost right after it happened. There was just a lot that we talked about, and it was just a really good conversation where both people admitted, like, look, we still don't know fully how we think about this, but like our country is divided. It was just, I think, a conversation that you could listen to and go like, oh, okay. One, he's being really real and open and telling me the story about him getting diabetes. And then two, these are people trying to deal with what's happening right now in real time and form opinions about it that I think it is how most people actually think. So that was definitely one of my favorite. And then the four people that I mentioned before were, I think, just really fun, great episodes. And then, one more, right around George Floyd, one of my best friends, Alexander Payne, came on. And then for 2 hours, we just like, I have no problem talking about race because like I like doing it. Alex is really good at doing it too.
You seem really comfortable with it too.
Him and I talked about a lot of different issues that I think was a lot of fun because again, it showed like, all right, you can talk about the shit that might seem uncomfortable, but it's not uncomfortable if you're not uncomfortable about it. If you're just like, okay, we're going to talk about it. It's okay if I ask a question that might, like if I ask a question that seems like wrong, I can, the person can go, well, here's how that question is like wrong or might be construed, blah, blah, blah. And then you go, oh, okay, cool. I won't ask that again because I didn't know. I was ignorant. Yeah. And then you go, cool. That ignorance is alleviated. Like that's part of it. So those are, if you're like going to look for those are some of the best, I think.
I love
Definitely.
That. Listen, I love your podcast.
Thank you.
I feel less alone.
Yes. Good.
I do. I'm living with my parents at 36 years old. Not fun.
Dude.
Living with your parents in general, not fun. Especially when, I love my parents, but they're all about stigma and image, and I'm just not like that.
It's just an old school way of thinking about stuff. Yes, it's old school.
Right. It's not, a lot of brown friends of mine relate because I'm Middle Eastern. 100%. So I was raised Colombian, Middle Eastern. They're very like.
Like a lot. My brown friends understand their parents are a lot more.
Osama was on the podcast. He talks about that a lot. I can relate.
And they're much more like brazen about. They're just like, they don't care.
They don't. My dad's like comedy. Yeah. What are you going to do with comedy?
Yeah, shame.
You're a loser. Like that's
shame
really
is
hard.
Okay.
Shame is okay. Shame is like a pride for them.
100%. And
you
they're
know?
like, oh, and they want to find different ways to like
Oh,
get that
bring
shame
you
in
down.
there.
He's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're going to, who's this podcast with today? You think you're going to make money? I'm like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't get it. I'm not in it. I'm not
You're
in
like,
it for the money,
okay.
babe.
You're like, what is?
I'm in it for the passion
God
and the
damn it,
intelligence,
yeah.
okay?
And you know that it's coming from like, I'm trying to help you, but they do
Tough
it in
love.
like the worst way possible.
I'm like, dude, I'm trying to get the fuck away from you.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Like, I'll go in and he gets so not jealous, but he won't admit it, that I listen to all your podcasts.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing in your room for 12 hours? I'm like, I'm listening to important podcasts. And he wants to know. And I'll explain your podcast because I feel like you're my friend. This is how I explain it to my audience. I feel like you guys, and when you name those people, I feel like we know who's popular, who's not.
Yeah.
You're like the cool kids in school, and we want to hang out with
yeah.
the cool kids in school. We want to sit at the lunch table. We don't want to be the weird, you know.
Exactly.
The weirdo picking their nose. Even
Yeah,
though there's
yeah.
nothing wrong with it, and I was friends with all those people, and I was those
Picked
people.
my nose this morning. Yeah. It's all
I
good.
picked my nose
Picked
this
my
morning,
nose
okay?
This morning. Yeah.
That's why I got that Jewish
why I
nose,
got
and
the
I'm
Jew
about to
nose.
get
Yeah.
a plastic surgery soon. Oh,
Hell
shit.
yeah,
When I get
baby.
plastic surgery, this
It's
world better
all-
watch out.
Well, watch out.
This
Once you get
world-
to that
this-
rhinoplasty, dude, it's all up in the air. Sky's the limit, dude.
Sky is a limit.
Chanel in the city is going to multiple cities because she
Dude,
can't even be in one.
You know I'm going to be like that guy that's going to have a girlfriend there and a girlfriend. It's so bad.
100%.
Actually, a friend of someone was talking about it on a podcast today. She just realized that the guy she's dating has a whole relationship in Miami.
Oh, shit.
Psycho or not psycho? Your take on that? This news just broke.
Psycho for sure. But also, it's
Psycho
just like,
for sure. I'm so happy you just said
well,
that.
it's also just like
Because those men will justify it. You know that, right?
shitty guy. Yeah. Oh, definitely. I talked to someone the other day who she was hooking up with some Italian dude who had a full family back in Italy, and he was like, well, I mean, we just have sex. I'm not in love with you, so like that's not dating. And you're like, oh, so you're like.
That's psycho. So
You're like so out in the fucking in space in terms of what is a rational way to think about things that like we got to bring you. That's like
down
that's
to
the
earth.
shit to where I go. I hear that and I'll like start laughing because I'm like you're nuts, dude.
But we
You're
need
nuts.
people like
Yes.
you to be like, dude, I've been around the world. I'm telling you, and I'm going to give you the breakdown level of psycho
Yeah.
or sociopathic.
Yeah, dude. Like you're right. It's just like it's enjoyable
And this
to
poor
me
girl,
to see.
he calls her with his girlfriend saying how crazy she is.
She's
Is that
get-
more psycho of him?
Well, that's like just that's just a gaslighting piece of shit. That's I like to say that's the bad kind of psycho because I like the good of we're all like we're all nuts, we all do our own thing. That's the malicious, like malevolent, like hurting someone psychosis. That's like your ego is so good at protecting itself that you're blaming something you did on someone else, and that's like a really high level form of maliciousness, and that person I think should be ashamed of that, and because that shame will maybe hopefully help them change. But then at the same time, if the person was like, yeah, I used to gaslight all the time and now I'm like working on it and I realized it's because blah, 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 I'm scared, vulnerable, I go, okay, cool, like work on it for sure. Even that person, I'm like, you can be redeemable, but you got to admit it. Until you admit when you, like people that don't admit that they did something wrong or that they fucked up, even me now with having more self-awareness, like sometimes I do things that are wrong, I've done things that are fucked up. As soon as you admit it, it's at least being like, yeah, I'm not perfect, I've done it, but that guy's a piece of shit. And those kind of people, I go like, you're hurting someone else, which is the thing that really pisses me off. Because when someone is actively hurting someone else to prepare to like defend themselves
and
from
take
getting
you down
hurt,
just to make themselves, that's another fucked up.
it's really fucked up. And I try to have sympathy, compassion for you because I know deep down like there's a really hurt, scared person.
Yeah.
But that's not gonna like dissuade me from going, you need to fucking stop because you're hurting someone else. That's the kind of shit where like I get defensive of the other person because then all of a sudden that girl is going to start thinking like, oh, is this my like people can convince you of crazy shit
and fuck up someone psychologically. That's why I'm so proud and happy that you're the guy that comes forward and you're on your podcast. You're like, look, I could get in trouble for this later or not. I don't care. I'm gonna do what's right.
100%.
A lot of times we do what's right and it doesn't make sense. But you're gonna, you'll help that girl in the street that's crying or getting beat up, or a guy. You just do it.
Yeah, you got to do it because at the end of the day, you got to be happy with like who you are, and that makes your life better.
Well, one more question, and we really have to wrap up.
Yes.
And I'm gonna probably stalk you to come back on. You're just
100%.
one of the most fascinating people
Thank
I've
you,
ever
thank you.
met.
I
Really,
appreciate it.
seriously, you got me through my depression
you.
and anxiety. You
Good.
get me through hard times, man.
Good. That's
Get
what I
me
mean,
through
dude.
hard
When I do
times.
the show,
Damn.
I'm like, yo,
I'm sure, and you
we're
get a
here
lot of
and we're
people through hard
chilling.
times.
Definitely, it's like we're here, we're chilling. Let's talk shit. Like, you are gonna listen to my show and you're gonna have no idea where the fuck it goes because it's an ADD-ness of just all
No,
over
it
the
goes
place.
places.
But it's like it's gonna go places and like it's just meant to be like just turn it on and like stop thinking about other shit.
Yeah.
That's what I like doing with you because
Yeah.
because I've had other shows do that for me where I turn it on and I'm like, oh, I didn't think about anything for an hour and I just kind of went on this journey with what the fuck this person's talking about, whether it's important or not. It's like, dude, on the way over here, there's a Tom and Jerry movie that's coming out,
Yep.
and I'm like, I can't wait to talk shit about that movie tomorrow because I'm gonna record tomorrow it's moving because the show is now me and my cousin
Yeah, can
on
you
the main show.
explain
So
that?
it's me and my cousin Lily who and it's kind of just us now on the show, really. We're going to have guests every now and then, but like we're kind of just exploring just us on it because it's like a lot of fun. And then the solo show, I'm now going to, I think, move to my Patreon just so that partially so I can talk about some shit happening in my life that I know that no random person is going to listen to. And so I can like play videos and music and not get fucking taken off of YouTube.
That's true,
Because
too.
YouTube sucks ass so much that if you play like
3
literally
seconds.
3 seconds of something, you get taken down.
Yep.
But yeah, those are the two shows.
And you make money.
Yeah,
You deserve to make
And they
money at this
yeah.
point. You're giving us really good content. You're giving us
Thank
really
you,
good
thank you.
advice. I mean, this
Yeah.
shit is like, we sign up for therapists. Like,
Yeah.
and that's another thing. We saved a lot of money by coming to your podcast.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, still go to therapy because I do too, and it
Right,
helps a lot.
I still go to
But
therapy.
Yeah, it's all about repetition. The biggest thing is like repetition, telling yourself all the time, reminding yourself,
Yep.
letting yourself fuck up, but then continue to go. Repetition for sure.
What would you say is your last tip for how we deal with anxiety and depression? How do you deal with it?
Meditation helps me a lot. Well, meditation and working out together. Working out, dude, I was feeling so sad Sunday night. Like
Me
really,
too.
really down and depressed. I didn't know. I think I didn't sleep well, and I was just like, I was in those like one of those like what's the point modes. I think it's because of the weather as well.
Which is so weird because I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but like you had a fantastic. Your stories are really funny.
Yeah.
I love. Go watch Dylan's stories. Dylan, where can they follow you?
Thank you.
At Dylan.
Dylan J. Palladino. Yeah.
Amazing. You also do like really funny stories with your friends.
I like doing those, yeah.
It's so interesting that you say that because you would never
Yeah.
think that.
Exactly.
Do you get what I'm saying? I thought you were having the
100%.
time of your
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
I was like, dude, I wish I can hang out with him. I'm so
Yeah.
fucking low right now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got the Sunday blues.
But it's like I'm not gonna go on and be like, yo, I'm so fucking depressed right now. Because like number one, like we all are. Number two, and
No one
number
wants to
two-
hear it.
And also when you do that on social media,
Yeah.
everyone like reaches out to be like, oh my god, blah blah blah. And it's like,
Should I call the ward?
That's
No,
not
I'm
my
just-
thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's not
exactly.
your
Should I call the ward? Yeah. So, but then I worked out and I started to feel a lot better. So working out helps me a lot. Going on walks going on walks, but like meditation helps me a lot as well. Like there's a lot of things that are tried and true that I've heard other people talk about that help me. And then the thing that helps me more than anything, especially with anxiety, because I'll have like a lot of day anxiety. What am I gonna do?
Too.
If I would literally just start writing like everything I have to do, and then just kind of free form like stream of consciousness for a couple minutes. When you get everything out on the page, you kind of get like a better look at what you're thinking in your head, and it brings things kind of closer into focus.
Yeah.
So that those kind of things help me a lot. And yeah, I mean it's hard, but like when I eat healthier, I feel better too. When I eat like shit,
I know.
my anxiety's worse. It's strange.
True.
It's like
I also break out a lot.
yeah,
because
100%,
I
like-
usually have good skin, but it's like through the
if I
roof.
eat salads, dude, I'm like, oh, I'm good. Like this is like yeah, and then I have like 3 cookies, and then I feel good for 10 minutes, and then the anxiety's all over the place. So those things like help me a lot. And dude, when you feel like find the things that make you laugh or feel good, and then keep those in your tool belt, dude.
Yeah, like
And-
podcasts.
exactly.
Like, no, for real. Like I listened to
Yeah.
this morning, even though it's with you, whether it wasn't with you. Actually, last week I had a guest, and it was very hard for me to get up and be into it in the
Yeah.
morning. We get all through that. Not because of the
Yeah.
guest. I love the guests. I love all my guests. But
Yeah.
I was insecure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I put your podcast on.
Yeah.
And I have a few podcasts. I do one back to
Yes,
the other.
yes,
And I don't
yes.
let anybody bother me so they don't get into my head.
Smart.
Then I get into your podcast. I get your energy, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah, let's do it.
Positive energy. Dylan's
do
my
it.
man. He
Yes.
knows what's up. He's fucking smart. I trust him. I don't trust some bullshit person that's just telling me
Exactly.
And it
Exactly.
gets me in the mood. I suggested. I'm not
Yeah.
just throwing gas up your ass.
Yes. Thank you. Throw it up there, baby.
I
It's been a while.
Up your ass.
Throw it up there.
I'm not trying to gas
haven't
you
had
up.
a CO2 tank up there in a while. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, you just that's it.
So
Like, dude,
you're the best. Like
you're
you're such an incredible human. I
Thank
just wish
you. I
more people
appreciate
were
it.
like this.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, and you can be. It's just like you gotta.
It makes people like us feel like we have hope.
And you guys do, man. And dude, and everyone needs to understand that, like, as good as I seem one day or whatever, like I said, there are those Sundays where I'm like fucking down and I feel like shit. And then there are the things that make me feel good and the people that I look to that also inspire me. And it like keeps you going. Because at the end of the day, like, we don't get through any of this shit alone.
Yeah.
So go reach out to other people. That's what gets you through it. Find those people that, like, you know, you FaceTime them or you call them and they just make you laugh. Even if it's for like 5 minutes, dude. Like, send that shit. And then if you feel good, if you're feeling good, reach out to other people. It makes you feel good. Okay. Whenever I feel good, like if if my coffee's got me going or I'm just like thinking, if I think about someone else that I appreciate in my life, I'll just send them a text. I'll be like, yo, I just want you to know, like, I really appreciate you. You make me feel good. You're funny as fuck. And you can just send that. And it's this thing where it's like, you know, you're giving that person love and it makes you feel good too. Because at the end of the day, you probably made someone else's day. Which you're like, okay, today, no matter what, I like help someone else. And I know that I've been in times when like I needed that. So you're doing it. And that's why I got into comedy. I was depressed as fuck in college. Things weren't going well with this girl that I ended up dating. But I remember I was in my room. I was so fucking sad. And I was listening to Louis, right when I discovered, like, I was listening to Louis C.K. And it was on Pandora. And it was Pandora Radio. And went through all this people. And I just remember one bit, like, made me laugh really hard. And I had the thought, I want to do this for other people. That's why I started, because I wasn't feeling good. And I was like, if I can do this for other people, that's okay. Because I've needed it, so now I can help other people. So like that, when you help other people, it makes it better.
I love that. We're going to what Chanel in the City, though, what place in the city do you recommend that you love the most to check out? That like gets you, pumped, clears your head, you're just happy in that space, restaurant, whatever.
Oh, shit, restaurant in the city. Yeah, I was gonna say Yorktown's kind of fun, but the people around there are kind of annoying.
Yorktown's cool.
Yeah, but it is like a cool old place in the city. I would say, I mean, it's kind of work like on Lower East Side it's cool. It feels actually no. Here's where. Go to the West Village, go past 7th Avenue, and explore all those streets that kind of run into each other and curve and go nowhere, because there are enough trees. And it's a different part of the city that when you get lost in them, you start to stop hearing the noise of the city. And you just see these trees and these brownstones, and it's really beautiful. And you forget for a second that you're in New York. That place is cool. And it's not about going to a restaurant or anything. It's about just like it just take 20, 30 minutes, explore around the West Village. You'll get lost in some dead end road and there'll be cobblestones and you'll be like, this is cool. I don't hear any noise. I feel like I can take a couple breaths. That's what I like doing the most.
I love it.
Yeah.
Can people DM you, slide into your
reach
DMs?
Out, dude. Reach out if you have questions. Yeah, I'm always willing to talk about it. I like when people reach out with questions. I talk about it on my show. It's always fun to do. Again, it's another way of connecting with different people. And you can always DM me. Be a normal person. Don't be fucking weird and ask for feed pics. Like, I might fucking screenshot your ass and put it on my story, but like, you kind of deserve that. But yeah, Dylan J Palladino, DYLANJ PALLADINO. Hey, this is Dylan Palladino from the We're All Psychos podcast. You are listening to my interview with Chanel Omari on Chanel in the City.